Hi friends, today we're doing a knitting project together. This is what I'm calling the Mossy lane scarf. The lanes being the ribbed in the center here. This is actually an English rib or a brioche, which I recently learned. So I'm very excited to introduce this pattern to you. It's just a very easy and fun scarf to make. It has a seed stitch border and this gorgeous ribbing in the center that gives it beautiful texture and makes it nice and warm. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so starting off with materials for this beautiful scarf pattern. We did this one in a gorgeous green color, but I'm thinking I want to do a nice neutral option. So the yarn we'll be using is Lion Brand 24/7 cotton, which is a worsted weight 100% cotton yarn. It is a mercerized cotton. And this is the color Beech Nut, which is a really gorgeous neutral pink. So that'll be our yarn. I've got the matching gauge needles, which is a size 6 or 4mm clover bamboo needle, which are my favorite type of needle to use. We've got just a little needle to sew the ends in, and we've got our thread snips. Optional, you can also have some stitch markers because we will be maintaining a seed stitch border along either side of the scarf, but that's totally up to you. If you'd like to just remember the border as we're going, you're welcome to do so, but I just wanted to note that as an optional material. So let me go ahead and clear this off and we can go ahead and get into the pattern. Okay, so here we are. We've got our yarn and we can go ahead and start. So we begin with casting on 45 stitches onto our needles. So I'm going to go ahead and do the long tail cast on. I'm kind of place my slip knot here. I measure against my shoulders normally. So that's kind of what I just did there, is I held it up from the length of my arm to my shoulder. And this might actually be an overestimate, but we'll see. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great, actually that worked out perfectly. And feel free to use whatever cast on method you like or prefer to use. I like the long tail cast on method. And I'll have links in the description to some videos I have for casting on and beginner knitting as well, just in case you're interested, you're new, and you need a little bit more guidance. Okay. So now that we've got our stitches cast on, we're going to start with the border on the bottom side, which is just 3 rows of seed stitch. So we're going to do, starting with a knit is my preference. Purl, knit, purl, purl. And I guess you could start with a purl, then a knit if you'd like to, if you prefer to start your seed stitch that way. Just make sure to maintain that throughout the pattern. I just like to start with the knit on the side there. I don't know if you can hear in the background, it's actually raining today, so hopefully that's not annoying. I feel like the sounds of rain would be quite soothing if you can hear it through the microphone. I'm not sure if it picks it up, to be honest. Let me know if you hear any rain. I'm curious. Usually I try to record when it's sunny, but we just had a string of rainy days. A bit of a tangent there, but that's okay. Okay, so we're nearly done with the first row of seed stitch. purl one, and we're ending on a knit one because we do have 45 stitches, an odd number. We're going to turn our work and continue with our second row of seed stitch. And because we have an odd number, we're starting with, we have a purl facing us, so we can go ahead and continue with the knit purl once again. And just doing the opposite of the stitch that faces you. So if you have a knit facing on this side, we're going to do a purl, and vice versa. If you've got a purl facing, then you'll do a knit. But we've cast on 45, as I mentioned, by design, so we've got a nice, easy couple of 3 rows, just doing the same knit, purl, repeat. Okay, so this is the end of row 2. And as I mentioned, row 3 will be our last row of the seed stitch border on the end, so we'll just do one more row of the seed stitch, continuing with our knits and purls pattern. And feel free to also use the YouTube video controls to speed up or slow down as you need, as we knit along in this video. And you can use the chapter feature. I'll make sure all of the chapters are marked, so it's very easy to jump to the next section if you don't want to stay here and knit this seed stitch border with me. I won't be offended. Okay, so that was our last row, the third row of our seed stitch. So we've got 3 rows of seed stitch here. And now we'll get into the bulk of the pattern, which is what we'll be doing for the rest of the scarf until we get to the end. And that will be our rib pattern. So we're going to start with our seed stitch border, which is going to be just 3 stitches on either side. So I'm going to go ahead and knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, and that is our side border. And if you're using the optional stitch marker, you can go ahead and place that and slip that along as you're going. That'll go right here. Now for the actual rib, we're going to yarn over, slip 1 purlwise with yarn and back. So purlwise would be, we knit like, or we purl like this rather. So purlwise would be slipping like that. Yarn and back, of course, would be yarn and back here. This would be yarn in front. So we've got our yarn over, and we're going to slip it just like that and pull it over. So you'll notice this yarn over that we did before the slip can come off. So make sure you're keeping it right there before the slip until we secure it with this next stitch, which is the knit 2 together. So we're going to grab these next 2 and knit them together and pop them off. And now the yarn over is also secured. So we've got our 3 stitch repeat for the center already. Yarn over, slip 1 purlwise, and knit 2 together. I'll do that a bit closer. Yarn over, slip 1 purlwise, and knit 2 together. And you may not trust that this will become a rib. Just keep going, I promise it will. So I'll do a couple rows with you together, and we can see how it starts to look. And if you've done much knitting previously, you know that more traditional or typical rib would be just a knit and a purl. Kind of like the seed stitch, but stacking, of course, so that you've got them in nice columns. I find, since I learned this technique, this brioche, it's actually quite meditative. It's very fun to do the yarn over and slips. Just fun learning new things, you know? Okay. So that is the bulk of the center of the pattern, and now we've come to the last 3 stitches. Again, you would place your optional stitch marker here. I'm not using a stitch marker, so I'm just going to remember that I need to knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. And that'll be the end of row 4. And we're going to continue to repeat this, as I mentioned. So we're on the opposite side again now. Seed stitch border again, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. Yarn over, slip 1 purlwise, and we're going to knit 2 together. This knit 2 together includes the yarn over and the slip from the previous row that we did. So you see here we've got this stretching piece across here. Knit these 2 together. Again, yarn over, slip 1 purlwise with yarn in back, knit 2 together. And you see it's making a bit of a cross here, so that'll be part of the rib. So let's go ahead and continue. Across and finish our row 5. And last 3, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. Go ahead and continue row 6, same pattern. And for the length of the scarf I was wearing in the introduction, I used 2 skeins of the Lion Brand 24/7 cotton, just in case you're using that same yarn in terms of the yardage and things like that. Of course, you can make yours as long as you'd like, or short as you'd like. I think it would look really pretty with some kind of brooch in the center as well to keep it secured. Especially in this nice neutral, it would go with a lot of colors too. Alright, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. That was row 6. And I'll do one more. Here's what it's looking like so far. You see we've got the start of these, excuse me, of these ribbed columns here. Do one more with you. Knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, yarn over, slip 1, knit 2 together. And it's very nice that this one doesn't have any row by row pattern repeats. So again, I find this very meditative as a pattern, relaxing, And you get a beautiful result at the end still. You don't have to remember what row you're on, which is always nice. And yet it still is just a little bit more interesting than a garter stitch or stockinette scarf. So you can see here we start to have, let me pull this in, the rows here. So pull it up a bit closer. So this row of knits, or column of knits rather, is matching up. It would be, oops, this column here. And then we've got the bits in the middle and the next column there. So it's just going to continue upwards like that, and you'll see it will start to form this beautiful ribbing. So go ahead and knit as long as you'd like for the scarf, minus the last 3 rows and the bind off. And I'll just go ahead and knit it separately from you and rejoin you when you're ready to bind off. And we can go ahead and do the last rows of seed stitch together and the bind off as well. So I'll see you in a quick minute, digitally, probably a bit longer in real life. So enjoy the rib knitting and come back in just a minute. Okay, so I've knit up this scarf. So here you see the ribbing came together. And I did end up doing a join in the middle here where I've got these longer tails. I tried to keep it towards the sides a little bit, not dead center, but it is a little bit over there. So we would just weave these ends in, of course. And I just wanted to join back with you just to describe one last time how we're finishing up. So it's approximately the length I was interested in having the scarf. And we just finish up with some seed stitch once again. So again, that's just the knit, purl, knit. And I wanted to join you because it may feel a bit odd doing the seed stitch right after this ribbing, because we have some slips, some knit twos togethers, and yarn overs. But we are just going to continue in pattern. So knit, purl, knit. This next one's going to be a purl. Make sure you're separating the stitches out individually. So we're going to purl this yarn over, for instance, rather than knitting them together as we were in the pattern. And then continue on. So we've got another knit. Separate them out. This one will be a purl. Knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, and we're just going to continue that on. Again, the seed stitch border is 3 rows, so don't forget you'll complete this row and do 2 more rows of seed stitch. And then I like to bind off in pattern, just knitting or purling the matching stitch and passing the stitch over from the right needle. So you can bind off however you'd like to, however you prefer to, but that is my preferred method. So for instance, if we're just going to pretend I just completed all of my rows and that this is the end, because we won't have all these stitches on here, of course, but I would just have knit and purl in pattern and then pass the stitch over, leaving only 1 stitch. That would be my bind off, as I described. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this pattern. I think it's a really gorgeous texture, and like I said, it's very fun to knit. It would make a great gift or keep you warm during the winter or transitional seasons. Probably in this cotton yarn, you might want to bundle up with other things as well. if it's super, super cold in the middle of winter. But I do think the nice bulk of the ribbing will keep you nice and warm, make nice little air pockets to hold the heat in. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this pattern. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. I do knit and crochet patterns, so if you have anything in mind that you'd like to see next time, I do have some ideas and some nice projects planned out, but I'm always curious to hear what you're interested in, so go ahead and leave a comment, and I really appreciate your support. I'll see you next time. Bye.